This recording is for the mark scheme looking at the second question, the second section of that question in the Edexcel English Literature Poetry paper. This section, once again, similar to the last recording we looked at, is looking at the anthology poems. However, this time it's building on the essay that you would have completed, the small essay you would have completed for section B, part A, in the previous recording. It's asking you to use the information that you've gathered in that essay and then bring it in to compare it to another one of the poems. Now, this question, section B, part B, will give you a choice between two possible options in this comparison essay. Both involve comparison and both involve the poem that you have already spoken about in section B, part A. But they will give you an option. The first option will be that you can compare the poem from the previous question with one that they again are setting you. Whereas the second option, don't do both, please choose one of them. The second option says that you must compare the poem you've already spoken about with one of your choice. So you just choose whichever you feel is right for you. If you're happy with the second poem that they've selected, and you're going to use the two that they have put down and written into the questions, that's fine. And if you choose to use the original poem you've already spoken about and compare it to another one that they have not named, that is fine as well. Just make sure that in the margin you clearly note down which of those questions you've chosen to do, just to make it clear for the examiner. The mark scheme is exactly the same, regardless of which particular question you choose to go ahead with. Again, please don't do both. You should only be doing one comparison essay where you're talking about two poems. Once again, you'll see that it goes from band 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and all the way up to 5, same as it has done in every other one of the questions we've looked at so far. So I'll run you through the skills that I looked at. Again, same applies in this. The same skill is looked at throughout bands 1 up to band 5. Band 0, obviously there will be not enough material or nothing for the examiner to mark. But the skills that they will be looking at in bands 1 up to band 5 are the same skills but at differing levels. This particular question, the comparison question, is looking at Assessment Objective 3. And the key thing here is that they're looking for you to make comparisons and links between the two poems. Okay, very simple. They're looking for you to compare. Obviously, they want you to bring in your language analysis, as they do in all the other questions, as they do in the Of Mice and Men exam in the other exam you're taking this summer as well. So let's just have a look at the skills they're looking for in band 1, and we'll see, as we have with all the others, it's exactly the same all the way up to the highest level. So the first thing they're looking for you to do is to compare. The second thing that they're looking for you to do is to evaluate how the writer expresses meaning, so their ideas. And they'll also be looking for you to support those ideas that you've pulled together. So those comparisons in the first bullet point could mean that you are pulling together ideas on language or ideas on theme across the two poems, for instance. You will notice there's only 2 bullet points in that first band. However, there are 3 things they're looking at: comparison, how you evaluate the expression of meaning, and the support that you give it. The reason there's only 2 is that you wouldn't necessarily quote. Whereas with the others, you'll see as you go up, then it generally does. So if we look just to compare with band 5, so again they're looking for comparisons. Again, they're looking at your evaluation of expression of meaning. Again, that's the writer's intention and the impact upon the reader. So use those phrases when you're writing in your exam. And they're also looking for you to pick out examples that support. All right, so exactly the same. Supporting, examples that support. So the examples will be the quotes that you are using, or if you were talking about a structural element, your description of that structural element. So again, it's very similar across these questions. So the level of difficulty that you'll be exploring within band 1 will be generally sound. So most of the time it's making sense what you're saying. You're being clear. And you're mostly appropriate, so you're selecting the right things most of the time, although there'll be errors. In the second band, you will be sound, again not generally sound, just sound, so it makes sense what you're saying. You're doing some clear evaluation, and your examples that you do select will be appropriate to what you're actually talking about, and they will link to the points that you're making. If we go up to the third band, you're being much more specific, more detailed. You're developing your explanation in your PEE paragraph, for instance. Again, it will be developed, and you'll see that you will have a selection of detailed examples, which are always appropriate yet again. If we go up towards band 4, we'll see that the words pertinent, assured, are used. Now, pertinent, as we know from the previous recording, is that it's fitting, it's been well selected for that particular point that you're making, or well expressed and fits well with the rest of what you're writing. If we're moving up towards band 5, you're being discriminating, perceptive, again discriminating. So it means if you're discriminating, you have a selection of things to choose from, a selection of points, a selection of quotes that you're confident with, and it's clear that you've chosen from a high quality of that selection. I hope this has been useful for you. All the best with your revision.